Hey guys, welcome back to the Heads Project. I'm John Ordalaza, and I'm going to be reviewing The Conjuring 3. I wish it was called that, but it's called The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. This is the third installment in the main Conjuring series. Of course, we've had the first two and multiple spin-offs in between. We've had Annabelle, Annabelle Creation, Annabelle Comes Home, The Nun, The Curse of La Llorona. I haven't seen any of those five. If you've seen my reviews for The Conjuring 1 and 2, you understand my frustration already going into those first five spin-offs because they're all about a horror mascot, and that's not what I like in horror movies. I'm not into horror mascots. That's why I haven't really seen a whole lot of Jason Voorhees films or Freddy Krueger movies. I haven't seen really any of those. I've seen one Halloween movie, and it wasn't even that good. What I really dig about horror movies is not being in the loop about what's scaring me, and I feel like The Conjuring 2 went a little too above and beyond with that, with the introduction of The Nun and The Crooked Man, which we're getting a Crooked Man movie in like a year or two, which looks a little more interesting than The Nun or a stupid Cabbage Patch doll. That's what I loved about the first Conjuring film. It has nothing to do with a horror mascot being at the forefront, trying to scare you, trying to sell tickets based on its name. In my opinion, the second movie kind of lost its way, and it did a little bit of the horror tropes that I'm not really fond of. The third movie, I'm happy to say, it kind of gets rid of that element of The Conjuring 2 that I really didn't appreciate. Right out of the gate, dude, this movie is creepy as hell. If you're going into this expecting some creepy imagery, you're gonna get it, dude. You're gonna get it and then some. I think there is some very creepy, captivating imagery in this film. I was very surprised to see that James Wan wasn't the director of this film, because I could have sworn he was, but apparently not. I forgot the name of the new director, but I was pleasantly surprised to see that this new director took inspiration and took the vibe that James Wan's directing brought to the first two films into his film. He incorporated it in here, and it felt like a James Wan movie. Like, I didn't expect that. Typically in movie franchises and trilogies, when you change a director in the next installment, the feel and vibe of the movie is off and it feels different, and it's obviously because it's a new director and they want to do their own thing, which that's cool. I appreciate that. That's awesome. But sometimes when it's something that I really love, it bugs me when the vibe of the trilogy is now off because one thing feels different than the other. But other times it's cool to have different feeling movies in a trilogy. You know, it's weird. It's a love-hate thing. I'm so glad that The Conjuring 3 has gone back to what made The Conjuring 1 so good in my eyes. And it's all those nail-biting scenes that put you on the edge of your seat and make you want to close your eyes, but you don't because you're not a bitch. That's what I felt like went wrong with The Conjuring 2. They were doing so much setup for all these horror mascots that have their solo movies, it compromised the horror aspect. It compromised the thrill and the suspense. This movie brings it all back, and I'm so happy for it. I guess my one nitpick, and this isn't even something towards the film, this is just a personal thing, it's very demonic, and like, I have my beliefs. And I generally don't like to see super demonic things. It's just not appealing to me. And they went the most demonic out of the three films. It was creepy, disturbing on many levels, but never once did I feel they went overboard with a scare or a build-up to a jump scare in this film. I felt like multiple times in The Conjuring 2 they went overboard, especially with the roaring nun. It was just way too much, and that's just silly as hell. When the film tiptoes towards those demonic elements, I feel like it goes a little too grand for my liking, because I generally like more grounded horror. I'm not a huge horror fan, but I like grounded horror, something that's a little more realistic, not super out there and demonic, but that's what I really liked about the first film. It feels real, and it's just above the spectrum of reality that I buy into it. I buy into everything that happens in that first film. As long as a horror movie is directed good, then I'm good, but if it can make me buy into the world and buy into the whole scenario, then I'm all in. The biggest thing that I love about these films that carries on from the first two into this sequel is the relationship between Ed and Lorraine Warren, played by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. I love their relationship. They're freaking adorable, and I want them to succeed. I bite my nails hoping that they don't die, because that's what they've been teasing since the second one. That opening scene where they kind of teased Ed's death, I was hoping to God that he wouldn't die in that movie, and I was hoping that nobody would die in this one. That's what I like to see in horror movies. I don't want to go in and root for these demonic presences. No, I want to root for the Ghostbusters. Cinematography in this film is really good. Just like the demonic elements of the film, everything in the film feels grand, including the cinematography. It feels like such a step up from the first two films. The first one is very claustrophobic, set in that one house. Of course, they have other scenes elsewhere, but it feels raw. It feels like found footage almost at times. In the second one, it kind of felt a little more cinematic. This one is the most cinematic out of them all, but they utilize it so well, and that's really cool. I really do appreciate that. This one feels big budget and cinematic, but it also has that raw feel of that first film. It's like a nice blend of the cinematography from the first and second film. Even the score in this film is chilling and also heartwarming at the same time. When you have the creepy imagery on screen, that music just creeps in and it helps aid the scenes, while at the same time that theme for Ed and Lorraine Warren is so heartwarming. Overall, if you are a fan of horror films, especially the Conjuring universe films, I highly recommend it. It's really good. I'd say it's up there with the first one. I still like and prefer the first one over all three of them, and I don't want to touch the spin-offs, at least not right now, maybe at a later date, or never. But that is my review of The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Please, someone start a petition in the comments down below to get this movie renamed to The Conjuring 3. It's hurting me. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I just posted my review for Star Wars The Bad Batch Episode 6, so you might want to go check that out. Also, starting next Wednesday, I'm going to be reviewing both Superman and Lois and Loki episodes. Loki's going to go for about 6 weeks, while Superman and Lois has about 7 weeks left. So there's a lot of content coming to the channel, guys, so you might want to stick around, because there's always more to come.